Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. This is CBC Windsor News. Thanks for joining us. We begin with the federal election, which has been largely dominated by our relationship with the United States, and that has overshadowed other issues and has left some groups feeling like they are not being heard. Pratyush Thayal reports.
The federal election is just 2 weeks away, but much of the election has been about one major issue: U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs. But 2S LGBTQ+ voters and community groups say their voices are being missed from the conversation.
This year especially, voting is more important than ever.
This grade 12 student is urging voters to choose a better future for 2S LGBTQ+ community this federal election. The gender-fluid teen says, amidst rising transphobic and anti-queer rhetoric in Canada, it's concerning to see little discussion on the campaign trail.
Our rights need to be protected. Our future needs to be protected now more than ever. It's really scary as someone who's queer and about to turn 18 and not having your rights be secure.
At Trans Wellness Ontario, this advocate is asking for a commitment from all parties around equality. They say political parties should release their plans on employment, poverty reduction, healthcare, and housing for the 2S LGBTQ+ communities.
Right now, I don't think it's being talked about as it needs to by any party exactly. I want to remind every representative who does seek their nomination or to be the representative, they are meant to represent all of us.
We asked 4 major parties about 2S LGBTQ+ policies. Parties haven't released full platforms yet. The Liberal Party did not respond, but leader Mark Carney was asked last week about 2S LGBTQ+ rights.
And it's fundamentally important that the federal government is the defender of those rights.
Experts say 2S LGBTQ+ issues should be clearly addressed in party platforms.
Well, I think it would be important for leaders to clarify where they stand on issues supporting the LGBTQ+ community and in particular transgender rights, because these are where we're seeing them definitely under threat in the United States.
A NDP spokesperson says their party is committed to providing permanent, stable federal funding for 2S LGBTQ+ organizations and charities and ensuring healthcare access for all.
The Conservative Party did not respond to a request for comment, but Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has said that he believes that there are only 2 genders and that he does not support providing gender-affirming care for minors. The Green Party of Canada also did not return the request for a comment, but on its website it says it will strengthen laws against hate speech and protect the access to gender-affirming healthcare. Pratyush Thayal, CBC News, Windsor.
Politicians at Queen's Park are back at work this week for the first time since Trump's tariffs came into effect. This afternoon, the Ford government laid out its priorities in its throne speech. Queen's Park reporter Lorenda Redekop has more.
It's a day full of tradition and ceremony. The Lieutenant Governor presenting the Premier's vision for his government in a speech that mentioned U.S. President Donald Trump 12 times. The word tariffs said 10 times.
President Trump's approach to tariffs has been, in a word, chaotic.
Describing the U.S. as an unreliable partner.
We can no longer assume the benefits of our economic partnership with the United States.
The patriotic messages gaining the support of opposition parties.
Canada will never be the 51st state.
The throne speech also promised to streamline environmental assessments and speed up permits.
Your government will restore sense and sanity to a labyrinth of rules and regulations that bring development in the province to a standstill.
That one of several commitments raising concern from other parties.
We're not going to allow this government to use the threat of tariffs to dismantle the environmental assessment process, conservation authorities, pave over our farmland, our wetlands.
The minister's response?
You can have a strong environmental assessment process, but you can streamline it.
In the face of tariffs, the opposition leader wanted to hear details on how the government will actually support people.
What about all those people who are going to lose their homes potentially? If their jobs are lost, where is the affordable housing that's not being built according to this throne speech?
The government also committed to building a tunnel under Highway 401. And while it did mention building homes, the specific number of how many recited by this government for years wasn't there.
Nothing about building 1.5 million homes. We need homes built. We need them to be affordable.
The new housing minister was asked about that. His response, short and sweet. Is 1.5 million.
Minister, could you look at the center camera, please?
Sure it is.
The speech laid out the government's first priority, removing provincial trade barriers within Canada.
No restrictions, no red tape, just free trade within Canada.
As part of that, the government says it will accept all work credentials from other provinces and territories. More details will be coming tomorrow. In the afternoon, the government will be tabling legislation. Lorenda Redicomp, CBC News, Toronto.
Colette Kennedy joins us now for our first look at weather on a gloomy day today, Colette.
Yes, I guess I don't know how else to describe it either in terms of what we're looking at. You know, we did have mild temperatures, but they were at midnight last night when we were at double digits, 12 degrees. So then the temperature was falling. Then there was some sun early in the day, but then the clouds rolled in, and of course the wind's in there as well. Plus we're getting a little bit of light showery activity that is around, and as temperatures continue to fall, maybe even turning into a few wet flurries. Overnight tonight, near freezing for the overnight low. Still dealing with these winds even into tomorrow, but we will eventually get into some nice clearing and get that temperature back up again.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Colette.
You're welcome.
More on the federal election now. All the party leaders were campaigning in Quebec today ahead of Wednesday evening's French language debate in Montreal. Liberal leader Mark Carney promising more help for Canadian workers who want to learn new skills.
Today I'm announcing that my government will launch a new sector-specific mid-career training and upskilling benefit in priority sectors: manufacturing, construction, tech, and artificial intelligence.
Carney says the benefit will provide up to $15,000 per person for skills training in those areas of critical need in the economy. He also pledged to support employers who want to retrain workers or retain workers and grow their companies. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is promising to do more to safeguard Canadian seniors and their money. He's outlined a multi-pronged plan to protect the elderly from fraudsters who reach out to them online and on the phone. Catherine Tunney reports.
For the second day in a row, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is trying to punch through with the issue he wants Canadians to think about when they cast their ballot: crime. Today, the leader vowed to crack down on scams targeting seniors. He says a Poilievre government would force banks and telecom companies to stop fraudsters. He's also promising to create a new criminal code offense, impose a minimum jail sentence, and bring in massive fines for those convicted of swindling seniors.
Minimum fines that are 10 times the size of the frauds committed. You steal 50 grand, you'll pay 500 grand on top of your jail sentence. We want to financially cripple the fraudsters to deter their greed.
The proposal received praise from one of the country's largest advocacy groups for seniors, which says its members are often told by police they can't do much.
For the last decade or more, there has been an attitude of education is the way to combat these scams. And when someone does fall prey, they're almost blaming the victim.
The focus pitch to seniors comes as some polling suggests Liberal leader Mark Carney is the preferred candidate amongst boomers, especially older women. Catherine Tunney, CBC News, Montreal.
NDP leader Jagmeet Singh said he would keep the capital gains tax increase that the Liberal government had planned in the last federal budget, but ultimately scrapped. Olivia Stefanovich reports.
Ahead of the debates, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is targeting his main political rival, Liberal leader Mark Carney, reviving a pitch that the Liberal government made, then Carney scrapped, to hike the amount of capital gains that are subject to tax.
So if you're setting a home and selling shares and make $200,000 a year, only $100,000 of that is taxable, the other is tax-free. That's unfair. That's inherently unfair. And the Liberals provided a measure to change that a little bit, just to make that a little bit more fair. That would have raised $19 billion over 5 years, a measure that we could have used that revenue to invest in people, in infrastructure like the hospital behind me, which is in desperate need of investment.
The move would increase taxes on capital gains over $250,000, changing the inclusion rate from 1/2 to 2/3. All capital gains for corporations, trusts, and individuals would be affected. The Liberals abandoned the idea after they received pushback from doctors and businesses who say the policy unfairly targeted them and warned it could stifle growth. The Canadian Taxpayers Federation even launched a court challenge. But despite the opposition, Singh wants to expand the capital gains inclusion rate. He says he would use the extra cash to help working Canadians by expanding pharmacare so it covers essential medicines. Singh says he would also use the money to introduce national rent control and place a cap on grocery prices, signature NDP policies that Singh wants wealthy Canadians to pay for. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Montreal.
Turning now to a big talker today, Honda says it is not going anywhere. The Japanese automaker has confirmed it is not pulling out of Canada after an early morning report said it was heading south because of U.S. tariffs. It sent shockwaves across the auto sector and the election campaign trail. Kate McKenna has the details.
Just the threat of these Honda assembly lines grinding to a halt prompted a wave of tough talk and promises from Canadian politicians.
We will fight, we will protect, and we will build.
It all started when a Japanese news outlet reported Honda was considering moving Canadian jobs to the United States in response to Donald Trump's auto tariffs. After talking to the company, Ontario's premier shot that down quickly.
Well, we're going to keep Honda here, and I'll do everything I can to protect the people and their jobs.
Honda Canada issued a statement to, as it said, clarify and correct the report, saying its Ontario plant will operate at full capacity for the foreseeable future, and no changes are being considered at this time.
I don't want to discount anxiety over it. The reality is that company is never pulled back in Canada from crisis.
Ottawa also announced more incentives to fight the effects of Trump's tariffs. Automakers will be partially exempt from counter tariffs on U.S. assembled cars so long as they keep operating in Canada. And other manufacturers will get a 6-month pause on paying some counter tariffs on items like food packaging to allow time to rejig supply chains.
There is no going back. We, in Canada, we will have to build a new relationship with the United States.
Federal party leaders, including Mark Carney, all positioned themselves as best suited to defend Canadian jobs.
We need to really fight back and get these tariffs removed, make sure that we can strengthen our automobile sector.
What we should do is focus on what we can control, and that is to reverse the disastrous Liberal economic policies that Mr. Carney advised Trudeau to take.
These on-again, off-again threats add to uncertainty across the country and could end up being the ballot question in this federal election. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Montreal.
Back to local news now. Hundreds of Black students across the region gathered today for the Black Joy, Black Excellence Student Symposium. It's the second time that the event has been held in Windsor, and this year's theme was all about expressing yourself. Take a look.
I'm Kalo Elliott, and today we're going to be talking about Black Joy and Black Excellence. It's just everybody, Black people being themselves, uplifting others around them, excellence, like them achieving their own goals and bring others with them. I think success doesn't mean as much as it could if it's alone. You want to bring everyone up around you, and that's what today is all about.
So we just want to be great representation, show kids, we have a lot of secondary school and elementary schools. We just want to show them that, you can see yourself in different positions. You can see yourself as MCs or as fashion shows or as models. So I think that's what it's all about, and just being unapologetic, having that safe space to really be yourself.
For a very long time, people that have looked like me haven't had the opportunity to fully express themselves due to our very, very tainted and dark history. Today is a day to not even highlight that, but to highlight what joy can come, what happiness can come, what empowerment we can bring to the youth when it comes to teaching them about Black history and everything in that order.
I would definitely say the student-led part of it is really important because that whole part this year is really amplified with all the student voices, the pass the mic, everything all together just really made this event this year so much better because the student voice is really heard this year.
Today is just a celebration of Black Joy and Black Excellence in all of its formats. Our students asked for something to be done this year in the format of arts and movement and theater and different things like that. So we made sure that happens. So there is some spoken word poetry, we have some mindfulness, we have some art, we have some dancing, we had a cultural fashion show today. A lot's been going on. It's been pretty great.
When we come back, why is climate change taking a back seat in this federal election? We'll have that story for you in just a little bit. Stay with us. Welcome back. With tariffs and cost of living dominating the election campaign so far, climate change has been taking a back seat, a far cry from elections past. CBC News climate correspondent Susan Ormiston looks at why.
Big pressure back in 2019 when over 40% of Canadians polled said a top issue was environment and climate change. But in the years since, that metric by Angus Reid Polling has sunk, diving further in the last 6 months.
We have witnessed a significant decline. It's being overshadowed by more pressing and more immediate issues, that being affordability, housing, the cost of living, and obviously tariffs and Donald Trump.
Even after last year's wildfires, extreme floods, and huge hail, a majority of Canadians likely won't vote on climate policy.
Carney and Poilievre are trying to stay away from the climate conversation to avoid that risk of alienating those who may be considered swing voters.
Instead, there is lots of talk about building more oil and gas pipelines.
We can build Canadian pipelines with Canadian steel. How many projects have the Liberals killed already?
To be an energy superpower, we also need to get more conventional energy built, with a focus on making it as clean as possible.
But how? Mark Carney's first move as Prime Minister was to cut the consumer carbon tax, thereby neutralizing Poilievre's main attack, Axe the Tax.
I was a little bit nervous to see Carney cut the carbon tax because I don't know what policies on the environment he has in store.
It's not that Canadians don't want action on climate. Polling in March showed 3/4 of voters want the leaders to take climate change seriously. But what does that mean?
I have not heard a lot of parties talk about carbon emissions, talk about climate change.
There is space in the looming economic crisis, Bruyette says, to recognize that cleaner energy is a sovereignty issue.
Despots can't control the sun and the wind. The missed opportunity right now is one of political leadership and imagination of how we could transform our economy.
Because, tariffs or not, the climate risk will only grow. Whomever wins can't escape that. Susan Ormiston, CBC News, Toronto.
The latest numbers from Statistics Canada show inflation in March cooled slightly. Much of that was thanks to gas prices dropping, but that did not help Canadians at the grocery store. And the Trump administration's tariff war is making matters worse. Kyle Bax has the story.
From breakfast cereals to condiments, food prices keep climbing, especially fruit and veggies, leaving shoppers paying more.
I have a minor increase, and in part that's because I choose to buy Canadian whenever possible.
We try to stretch the amount that we buy for a lot longer.
If I have to adapt on the fruit and veggies I eat, I'll have to adapt.
Counter tariffs introduced in early March are beginning to impact food prices for certain products, like orange juice.
I just checked out the price of it and it looked like it doubled. So I just decided I'll refill my waters, leave the orange juice behind.
The made in U.S. varieties are noticeably more money, almost twice the price compared to those prepared in Canada, even if they still use fruit from Florida.
That's the reality. If you don't pass on those increases, you're not going to be an independent grocer, you're going to be an out-of-business grocer. So we are seeing the increases.
Food was up 3.2% in March compared to 12 months ago. But in general, inflation actually cooled to 2.3%, according to figures from Statistics Canada. Some prices actually dropped, like gasoline, down 1.6%. Cheaper pump prices helped keep inflation in check. Airfares and travel packages were also lower. Call it a March break, as the overall inflation rate was lower than experts were predicting.
And there were a few pleasant surprises, including lower price of energy and lower price of gasoline, of course, because of recession risks that are rising around the world.
The latest numbers come on the eve of decision day for the Bank of Canada on interest rates. Slower inflation could convince the central bank to maintain rates, but the ever-shifting trade war may lead the bank to cut to help stimulate the economy. Kyle Bax, CBC News, Calgary.
We will have Colette Kennedy back with us right after the break with more of your weather forecast. And things are looking up tomorrow, so you're going to want to hear what she has to say. Stay with us. Kelly Kennedy is back with us now for more on weather. Colette, we were really in the thick of the unpleasantness today, but there's good stuff coming.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to bounce back here. We're going to bounce back as soon as tomorrow. And, you know, if we look at what the temperatures are doing around North America, we're kind of surrounded, in a sense, by these temperatures that are actually in the teens. So from New York and DC and towards Nashville, but stretching all the way up into the prairie, Saskatoon, 18 degrees. It's around the Great Lakes here. We have this core, this trough in the jet stream here where this colder air is in place. And we're going to see that beginning to improve as we go through the day tomorrow. And what will help is getting some of these clouds out of here, but also these winds that are so strong, getting those to back down. It's going to take some time on that one. Our current reading, 6 degrees. In fact, 6 in Sarnia and Windsor and Chatham, Kent, 2 in Kitchener, 4 for London, and 3 degrees there for Goderich. There are those northwesterly winds. Now, these are the sustained winds, okay? So in Windsor, they're over 40 kilometers an hour. But if you check out the gusts, those are pretty strong too. Nearly to 60, but we did have a wind gust not that long ago, actually over 70 kilometers an hour. So some really strong winds as we carry on into the evening hours, and it's still going to be breezy tonight and then into at least the beginning of tomorrow. This is 9 a.m., but what happens is as we push into the afternoon hours, so even after lunch, you're going to find those winds really beginning to recede. Now, if you're traveling elsewhere in the province and moving east or to the northeast, you're going to still get into some of those breezier conditions. A few little sprinkles of showers here and there. Yes, there's even further north coming off Lake Huron, some lake effect that's occurring because of the strong winds pulling that moisture across the lake. But really, we're just maybe going to see the odd wet flurry, not much to it here as we move through the overnight hours because we'll be drying and getting those clouds to clear away. So there may still be some cloud cover in the morning hours, but then we'll get less and less cloud cover and more blue sky once the day wears on. So warmer, more sunshine, and getting those winds to back off. Now into Friday or Thursday night into Friday, another shower or range of showers will be rolling on through. But for tonight, 1 degree for that low, 12 once we get into the sunshine tomorrow, 15 on Thursday. And yes, indeed, that next system will bring in some really mild temperatures.
Yeah, no kidding. Thank you so much, Colette. And thanks to you all for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good night.